What's going on, everybody? This is your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher Fitness here. Today is Monday, June 13th, 2022, and the time is 1:30 p.m. Central Time. As always, brothers and sisters, kind of powerful message. We're going to jump right in and break it down to science and psychology, the neurobiology behind low performance. So, low libido, low performance, is the result of what we call fear. And the fear keeps us here. And when we understand the science behind fear, we've talked about fear before. We will be doing a lot more shows breaking down fear because that's one of the things that keeps us from being us, is this idea of separation. But the separation that creates this insufficiency. So fear is nothing but a spirit of insufficiency. We call it poverty. And poverty and fear is what keeps us here. And when we talk about being here, here is the current space or the current frequency or the current wave or the current vibration that we are oscillating and vibrating in. I included a picture that breaks down, all of the different physical attributes and characteristics of that is the result of the effects. It's not the cause, it's the effect of fear. We look at your eyes, pupils dilate, your breath shortens and quickens, slower bowel movements, you got blood pressure. You look at the reduce of cortisol, digestive stomach issues, heartbeat, skin. All of these are different physical effects of a mental or a biological process that's very interesting because even in the movie, or not the movie, but the series, I think it's on Showtime that talks about the man that fell to earth, it mentions these three things that is the foundation of low performance. And so when we talk about people who depend upon other people to do for them what they should do for themselves. Now, we're not talking about paid, where you are delegating and all of that good stuff. We're just talking about today understanding the science behind inactivity. And the science behind inactivity, that's the inability to actually promote the self. Because there isn't a clear value in the self. It's really interesting when you look at the science behind fear. What you're really examining is like perfectionist. If I'm a perfectionist, as a perfectionist, that is a mask or that is a coping mechanism for fear. So when someone is operating in a state of fear, you will find that they are always busy. And you will find that they are always engaged in a lot of activity. And the behavioral and physiological response to fear is perfectionism. So when someone is a perfectionist, what they are unconsciously doing, when you look at the science behind what triggers the brain game, the amygdala, which is the part of the brain that is really involved in this false evidence appearing real, because we all know that's really what fear is. It's false evidence appearing real. But I like, and it's interesting how it works, especially in women that have children, because the children becomes the focal point of your life, or your husband becomes the focal point of your life, because you're afraid to take responsibility and take action in the direction of the things that you desire in your life. So we have to have someone to blame when our life doesn't manifest, because really we have fear. Fear is the result of, there's a fear of failure, there's a fear of loss, and there's a fear of the unknown. All of the three main attributes and characteristics of fear are all triggered because of a lack of a proper self-identification. And there are many types of, fear. There's many ways by which fear manifests itself inside of the human body. The primary thing that I like to focus on is what I call, this fear of what we call ego separation. The fear of the ego, because the ego is actually the self, the way we identify ourselves. So the ego is just your perception of yourself. Now, everybody sees themselves differently than the way I see you. So I see you one way and you see you another way. If I tell you to stop seeing yourself as a black man or a black woman or a Christian or a tall woman, whatever perspective you have of yourself, that's the ego. That's called your self-identity. So fear of loss of self. And so usually when somebody dies, that's what I had to battle when my daughter Shamura died. When she died, I had a fear. I had to deal with my fearocracy. So fearocracy, there is a hierarchy of fear. And it's the fear of the death of the self, fear of separation, fear of loss, fear of mutation, and fear of extinction. All of these mask in the form of perfectionism. It's really interesting when I looked at my own life, and the thing that freed me from all of the hierarchy or the fearocracy. Fearocracy is found inside of what you and I call perfectionism. Perfectionism is interesting because it's this ability for you to be busy doing all types of things, but it is the avoidance of accountability. The thing that I really, really love about psychology is not debatable because it is self-evident. What I mean by self-evident, Christianity is not self-evident because you can't show me God. When you talk to God, it's personal. It is private. It is your own interpretation of God. But really, Christianity is just another coping mechanism. In fact, all religions are coping mechanisms. Now, remember, perfectionism is the number one indication that you are in fear. Now, when I say perfectionism, that typically means that you have a reason why you can't take action today. If I tell everybody right now, go to TikTok and make a video, you know what you're going to say? Doc, I can't. That's fear. Now, you pretty smart. You're just not as smart as me. Now, not you personally, of course. What I'm talking about is the psychology behind me. So what I did to me was I sabotaged me. I killed me by empowering me. So my lower self was stronger than my higher self. So I had the three main phobias. I had an intense fear of a particular occupation. Then I had a social fear. I had a fear of being embarrassed or ashamed in front of people. Then I had I'm going to use the word humiliation fear, which is different from embarrassment. Embarrassment is just like you're embarrassed because, you're bald or you're short. Usually it has something to do with something that you can't change. You're embarrassed because of your race. You're embarrassed because you're born in the hood. But the third type of coping mechanism that allows you to stay in poverty is the fear of humiliation. Nobody wants to be humiliated in front of other people. So we would choose unknowingly the avoidance of accountability, which is low performance. Low performance is the result of no accountability. Low performance is what I call artificial harmony. It is the absence of trust. It makes you vulnerable and unstable. are unstable. Like in the series that's on HBO, The Man Who Fell to Earth, and this, I think it was episode 5 or 6. Everybody on this call, you have this same fear. Now, I encapsulated in module 1, and on average, it takes the average person a year. I know people who've been in module 1 for 5 years. It takes on average a year for someone to identify their current habit pattern that keeps them in Groundhog Day, where you repeat the same thing by changing coping mechanisms. That means that you do busy work, like clean your house. So I tell you, do a TikTok video, Doc, I'm going to do it right after. It's amazing. I love asking people for stuff. If you ask a woman to send you a picture of herself, 99.99% of the time, you're probably not going to get it. Because she has to perfect herself first. And unfortunately, she's never perfect in her own head. So you ain't going to never get that picture or that video. Now, the average woman and male suffers from chronic shame. The psychology of low performance is awesome to me because it's just the Nike's logo. Just do it. That's why I publish books with errors on purpose. That's why I do videos that are low quality, no lighting, camera shaking, upside down, foggy. I want this shit as whack as possible because I'm forcing myself to get out of perfection. There's nobody on this call that is more anal retentive than me. I've met a lot of anal retentive mother beep, 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 but I've never met a man or woman that is more anal retentive than me. Now, what do I mean by anal retentive? Very few people have my level of tenacity. That's a good thing because that is the number one. That's the number one way to fail. See, tenacity is a double-edged sword because if you get locked on to the wrong person or the wrong way, by the time your ass wake up, your life is over. In other words, I don't have the capacity to fail. So that's why I always win. Unfortunately, I don't have the capacity to fail. Now, the inability to fail because of, number one, loss of failure. I'm afraid to fail. So I don't. Unfortunately, I have succeeded for 50 years to keep my ass in Groundhog's Day. So when I talk to somebody who's in Groundhog's Day, I already know it like man, come on. You talking to the master. Nobody you can't even carry my luggage, bro. So you can beat yourself up and you ain't even scratched the surface. I've failed more times than most people even thought. See, failure is, number one, is an absence of trust. Number two is a fear of conflict. Number three, it is a lack of commitment. All of these are activated by the inability to see the self. That is why I have a very, very, very high sense of self. Because I know I'm only one activity away from going back to Egypt. That's how it's like an alcoholic is one drink away from going back to being a full-blown alcoholic. He could be sober for 10 years. It just takes one drink and all them demons that he got rid of, and they bring 7 more worse than the ones that left. So you're, number one, you have a fear of failure. We all do. Number two, you have a fear of loss of whatever you got right now. And number three, you have a fear of, shit, Doc, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The fear of the unknown. Well, let's deal with the 3 fears that you have right now that keeps you stuck and you are immobilized. Because during the private show, we're going to get into the science that what happens to the brain, that happens to the body. It's just crazy. You can't even make it up. Like, I wish I could make it up because then it would not be as bad as this. So scientifically speaking, let me just give you a little taste. So scientifically, fear is a chain reaction. Once it starts, it cannot be stopped because it is a stressful stimulus. Once the organs release the chemicals in the body, chemicals is nothing but stored energy. Chemicals are nothing but issues that eventually get stored in tissues. So all of your financial issues, all of your relationship issues, all of your wisdom issues, all of your religious science issues are stored in your tissues. And your tissues is what we call your organs. Your organs are a musical instrument that is played by the maestro. So the maestro, God, can't play the musical instrument, you. I love in the series, The Man Who Fell to Earth. Notice he didn't say the man who came from heaven down to earth. So they left that part out. See, Hollywood, I love Hollywood because Hollywood will give you 8 pieces of a 10-piece puzzle. And you will take those 8 pieces and you'll go running and you will bust hell wide open. Hell meaning no vibration. And you will be saying, Doc, I did everything that they said. And it didn't work. That's what I was doing when I read the book Think and Grow Rich. And then I read the book The Science of Being Rich. And then I took all of these courses. And I spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in the self-help movement. I was in the self-help movement for about 20 years. I did everything right. That the white man with the yacht and the boat and, the beautiful woman, all of the money in the world, 6-pack. I did everything that they did, and I always came up snake eyes. Then I started hanging out with dudes that was members of secret societies. And they was all recruiting me and say, bro, if you join, Alpha, Beta, Kappa, Alpha, and you take this Greek brand, we got you. You a part of the brotherhood. You go to any city, you need something, you just make a phone call. We got you, homie. You'll never have to worry about anything again. All you got to do is take this vow, make this blood oath, put your knees in the dirt. And if you do this, and we give you these secrets, and you share this shit publicly, something's going to happen to you or your family. So you got to think about disembowelment. You will take a vow to fall on the sword, basically. If you decide to do, if you decide to get a stroke of morality. That's why you got to be careful when you make these deals with these devils. Thankfully, I wasn't that thirsty and that desperate. So I did not fall for the thirst trap. But it's a dirt trap. It's a death code. It's a death code. Which pretty much, I don't know nobody that got real money that's not a part of the death code. Like for real. I know a few people that got real money. So it take me longer. That's why I like Dame Dash. Even though he's kind of part of it too. Because he threw a Lil under the bus, but that's another study for another time. But he got a stroke of morality after he did his dirt. And I like, you can make any name of anybody in Hollywood, from KRS to, down to Nas to, everybody knows Little Nas X is out there. But, you remember some of my Hollywood clients that I've had. Just recently, I was telling you guys about, like Drake, Travis Scott, my boy, certain people who in those higher circles. And I tell you guys the same thing that I when I asked them, why you call me? Why? What was it? Especially with the high-end preachers who, big television names, who they don't call me. They get their little flunkies to call me. And say, yeah, I'm here and I'm representing, Pastor so-and-so. And we was wondering if we could have, 10 minutes of your time. They never want to buy anything. They never want to purchase anything. They never want to associate themselves publicly with somebody like me. Now, you should ask yourself, why? Now, I'm going to let you ponder the question after we get back to the main meat of the message. The main meat of the message is there's an absence of trust. They can't trust me because they ain't got no dirt on me. Nobody's going to trust somebody that they don't already own. So if I don't own you, I don't trust you. That's the dominant culture. Me, see, I really don't care about my skeletons in my closet. Because number one, I pretty much talk about all my skeletons in my closet publicly anyway. So nobody can gaslight me. Nobody cannot blackmail me. So I don't have a fear of conflict. Number two, remember, black men primarily respect each other because there's a fear of conflict. Meaning, I know that there's a threat of violence. If I walk up to a black man on the street and just slap him in the face, there's a good possibility he gonna slap me back. Because of that, no black man will walk up on another black man for no reason and just punch him in the mouth. Because he knows no matter how skinny or small that black man is, even if he gets smoked today, he gonna come back tomorrow. So that keeps us in check. So there is an underlying frequency, wave or verb, that says conflict is imminent. So that keeps us from pursuing greatness because of the possibility of conflict. So the thing that keeps you from pursuing greatness is, number one, there's an absence of trust in the system that greatness is possible. Number two, there's a fear of conflict with other people that are great, because that means you got to take somebody's spot, because people think that they are in competition. Once you get to my level, you realize that there is no devil. So who gonna be me? Like, for real. Who gonna take my spot? Y'all better stop playing. Who gonna be me? I don't got no competition. Neither do you. Can't nobody beat you. But you think that there is a shortage of abundance because of the poverty mentality. Remember we talked about yesterday? The glass is half full. It is never half empty for me and for everybody on this call. So if you wake up this morning and you believe you got to hustle, you believe you got to grind, you believe you got to get it before somebody else get it, you already been calm, boo-boo. Because guess what? You putting in a lot of energy into a lot of stuff that you're not getting no energy back. So by this afternoon, you're going to be tired. You're going to need a nap. Me, I'm going to go all day, every day, 365. Why? The law of equivalent exchange. I don't put no energy into no body and no thing that I don't get energy back. So that leads us to number three. That's a lack of commitment. The average Alkebulan is not committed to himself or anyone else. How do you know? Well, most Alkebulans, they bounce around. What I mean by bounce around, they have an artificial harmony, meaning that their avoidance of accountability is low performance. See, you must be accountable to yourself. What does that mean? If you say you're going to work out, you got to be accountable to yourself to work out. If you're going to eat healthy, you got to be accountable to yourself to eat healthy. If you're going to post a video, you got to be accountable to yourself. So the average Alkebulan is not accountable to himself. We're not talking about anybody else. We're talking about you. So why is it so hard for you to be accountable to you? Oh, so you don't like you. So we go back to the same thing. Do you notice that we always come back to the same problem? What is the only problem on earth? The only problem on earth is that you're not a god and you're not a goddess. That's it. The only problem that exists is a lack of a proper ID. You got the wrong ID card. Now, in everybody's Dear Community report, I gave you your spiritual or your cosmic ID. Now, the fact that most people got their Dear Community report and probably have never read their Dear Community report, your Dear Community report is your personal Bible. Let me say it again. You should not read the Bible. You should read a Bible. So my Bible is different from Dr. Bartonet's Bible. I am the guardian of divine excellence. That is my solar eclipse ID. So I can't do shit without it. Neither can you. Unfortunately, do you know your solar eclipse ID? I'm asking for a friend. Can anybody, without looking it up, text me your solar eclipse ID if anybody knows their solar eclipse ID off the top of their head? I doubt very seriously anybody knows their solar eclipse ID. If you can text it to me right now without looking it up, because I got your numbers, I'll give anybody listening to me right now, I'll give you $100 if you can text it to me right now within the next 15 seconds, because that's going to be how long it takes you to look it up. See, I know nobody knows their solar eclipse ID. How do I know? because of your low performance. Now, what is my definition of low performance, though? You should be asking that question. I ain't got no texts yet. But that's kind of what I thought. Now, why, though? Well, we don't have trust. Like, y'all don't really trust my system because it hasn't worked for you like it worked for me. Now, my daughter sent me a video and I shared it with one of the members of the group. And she was singing Britney's song, Work Bitch, whatever it's called. You gotta work. And she's just riding in her Range Rover with her shades on, looking like $1 million. Now, because Sade, not only because Sade is my daughter, and she raised my daughter, and Shimura, if she was here, she was on pace to do the exact same thing. And what is that? The whole body's boot camp. She's a model. She's modeling it. She's what I call a boss chick. Now, a boss chick, remember I said the video I just posted on my TikTok channels on Facebook, I'm driving around in my Corvette and I'm telling what an alpha male is. Now, I don't know any alpha males, no real men. Now, a real man is what I said in the video. That's why I'm modeling the behavior. So a real man says, I can do that to anything. I don't give a shit what it is. When I say I can do that, what I'm saying is, I don't know how to do it, but guess what? I'm going to figure this shit out on the way. I don't have to go and consult a curandero. I don't need to call TD Jakes or Creflo Dollar. A real man has so much self-confidence in himself, he don't give a shit about no one else. That's a real man. That's a dangerous man. Now, I may be the Lone Ranger. Hopefully, the goal is to develop more men. Now, a real woman. Ooh, what is a real woman? A real goddess, you got to remember, a goddess is a Lilith. That's my new word. Now, remember, Lilith was kicked out of the garden by Adam because she refused to be on bottom. She said, I want to be on top. True story. Y'all should read it. So, Lilith, this is the problem that my daughter has with every guy that she gets with, they always end up calling me. And they say, Mr. Rogers, because I tell them as soon as I meet them, I said, and they all look at me strange when I tell them this. There's going to come a day when you want to put your hands on my daughter. And so, and I'm going to make sure that I got their attention. I said, look me in the eye, bro. There's going to come a day that you're going to want to put your hands on my daughter. Now, before you do that, you should call me. Here's my number. Every man since my daughter's been dating since 13. I always started shouting. Now, if I sent you the video that I shared with one of the members of her driving in her car singing that song, and she got a little mad at me. She said, Dad, why you share that video? I said, Shawty, you crazy as hell. She said, yeah, I know, but I don't want nobody else to know it. I'm like, shit, you have to be crazy to believe in yourself and to build a business with no safety net. You gotta be freaking crazy to actually believe that you can ride around. My daughter got 2 buildings. She got 3 different businesses. She's living her dream by herself. Now, she got a man, but she don't need him. He's just there for decoration. Now, let me make sure you understand. That's not a bad thing. Your visual cortex activates your amygdala. Your amygdala activates the thalamus. The thalamus activates the sensory cortex. The sensory cortex activates the hippocampus. The hippocampus activates the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus activates the adrenal glands. And the adrenal glands produce adrenaline. So that's why I'm always stuck on the ceiling like I've just drunk 8 cups of coffee. And that's why I cannot hang around with the average alkylon, because they walk around worried about how they're going to pay their light bill. And I don't give a shit about the light bill. So we're on 2 different frequencies. Thus, the twain shall never meet. Again, nothing wrong with it, because I used to be down in Egypt too. Now I'm on the mountaintop with Moses. Moses came down off the mountaintop, and they said that he shined so bright people couldn't even look at him. That's when you go to the mountaintop, everywhere you go, you shine so bright, they're not going to look at you. When you go to Walmart, you walk around, people are going to be like, oh, who the hell is that? See, the science and the psychology of the neurobiology behind low performance, low libido, that's why my sex drive is so high. It's just a byproduct. It's a byproduct. And that's not the goal. Nobody gives a damn about that. That's just the byproduct. That's like icing on a cake. Nobody buys a cake for the icing. We buy the cake for the cake. Now, just because it got icing on it, okay, we'll eat that too. But I don't buy no cake because of the icing. I buy it because of the substance. So I buy steak not because of the sizzle. I buy steak because of the steak. See, most people sell it sizzle. That's chi-chis and badonki don'ts. Well, I don't buy steaks because of the chi-chis and the badonki don't. I buy steaks because it's freaking got substance. It got nutrition. It tastes good. That's just an example. I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying steaks. We all know that practice is more blah, blah, blah. So please don't text me and call me and tell me that, and I hear your show, brother. This is the stuff I get. This is how you know somebody's in the groundhog thing. I could talk for a whole hour, and what they would hear, like one guy texted me yesterday saying, well, microwave food is bad for you. Like, what? Out of the whole message, y'all gotta be careful, man. There are snakes in the grass. There's probably snakes in your house. There's a bunch of snakes in your head. See, you're listening, but you're not hearing. Not you personally, but you know. Groundhog's Day is the inability to hear. Now, what does that mean? As I will prove, starting June the 19th, cost is $129. We go through all the shit I've been talking about for the last month, then we get deeper into the biology of it, because learning leads to dominance. The more you learn, the more you dominate. So the inability for you to dominate is the result of the inability to you for hear, because you're not pre-paving your way to success. That means that you're not visiting success while you're in poverty. That means that you're not a signal engineer. You haven't mastered your frame or your brain. In other words, you haven't forgotten everything that you can't control. You haven't established a abundance mindset that says the glass is always half full. I do not live in reality, brothers and sisters. I told my daughter this morning, like me and my all our kids, we got our own chat group, and we text each other. And I was texting my kids like early this morning, like, crazy memes. I know this one meme of Forrest Gump, like running and sprinting. You know that one scene in the movie with Forrest Gump? So my kids would text me back like, oh shit, Dad, how much cup of coffee have you had this morning? They already know. So all I text them is, let's go. You can sleep when you die. What the hell are you doing? So Sade, pregnancy is not an excuse. Get your ass up. Let's go. And she was having a bad day today. Now, how I know, I can't tell you. I'm a father. It's just a father thing. You don't have to be a father to understand. Ladies, mothers, I know what I'm talking about. A mother knows what's going on with her children intuitively. And you know what to do intuitively. You don't need no damn counselor. I know my kids. They know me. I text him being DJ, and he's in the Navy in school. He got a break. He texts me, Dad, how much coffee you had today, bro? I say, B. Jola, you just part-time Navy, man. I need some hits today, man. All the songs I play, my songs, they wrote and recorded. My son, I said, Kendrick, he got a job, brand new job, got promoted, tripled his salary. He texted me, Dad, I will not be borrowing no more money from you, bro. It's like, I'm in your neighborhood now. He looking at new cars, new apartment, him and his girl. He got we're not a new girlfriend. He got him some brown sugar, and she turned him out. I'm happy for him. Nose wide open. I said, Kendrick, I told you. He got a taste of that brown sugar, and it was a wrap. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because my children implement my system. Those are my greatest clients. They're all successful. You got to remember my middle daughter, Sheree, who because she's the quiet one. She's the most deadly. She makes more money than pretty much everybody. Remember, she quit her job when Shamora died. Her company said, I'm sorry, we can't afford to lose you. What do we got to do to keep you? She said, well, I'm going to Europe for a year. They said, we'll pay for it. All you got to do is just do a Zoom call once a week. Are you serious? She got paid a whole year to do nothing except tour Europe at the company's expense. She went to Taiwan. She went to Japan. She came back. She made contacts with all these places. Now she creates her own fabric for her own clothing line. You can't make this shit up. How did she do it? She's a goddess. She walked in and told people what she wants. You can't do it. Next. Don't settle for less. We only operate in God's best. So y'all walking around, not you personally, of course, but the average other people that walk around and looking for crumbs off of some other nigga's table. Come on, man, y'all better stop playing. You better build your own table. You sit in your own table. You don't wait for nobody to throw you no leftovers. You are king. We're all kings. We're all queens, goddesses. But we act like parents because we forgot. We're gods with amnesia. I'm here to wake somebody up today. I don't know what y'all smoking. Why? I mean, not you personally. We talking about, we talking about these other niggas, not you. There's people who smoking some good stuff. And they're buying reality. Every once in a while, my daughter bumps her head, and she says, Dad, I don't know. I may have bit out more than I can chew. Just to let somebody hold up, time out. You got to remember, first of all, you are addressing the king. When you address the king, you need to address the king as a queen, as a goddess. So let's start over. She said, oh, okay, my bad, Dad. I kind of, my bad. You know what? I'm good. We should really better talk. That's our pep talks. Because I planted the seeds in their head when they was children. I told you when we was homeless, we was taking the bus to the Dominion. I told everybody last call, Google Dominion, San Antonio, Texas. Look at the houses. Google Elm Creek, San Antonio, Texas. Look at the houses. Now, I could buy a house over there right now. Only reason I'm not over there, school district. My bonus son, getting forced to be since he was a sophomore. 6'8" football in Texas. The average person doesn't know what that means. You know what that means? That's like playing college balls starting as a freshman. That shit is rare. Every person I know has done it, they're in the NFL now. So I asked him, I said, Alec, what do you want to do when you grow up? He said, Mr. Will, I want to be a football star. I want to play in the NFL. You do this, I guarantee you I'll get you in the NFL. How bad you want it? So we work out in the summer. You should see what Alec looks like right now. Dude look like he eats people. And he's a sophomore in high school. I already got colleges looking at him. What do you think he's going to be doing when he's a senior? You know the name Alec Clausen. You're going to know that name. Why? He lives with the God. So therefore, he comes into the room and he says, did somebody call a Greek God? Me and his mama just bust out laughing. I said, Alec, maybe it should be an African God. I mean, nothing wrong with the Greeks. I like the Greeks. But let's shoot for an Alcibiades. What's the point, Doc? The point is, you have low performance. You got low libido. So in order to have sex 8 times a day, which is what I used to do physically, I don't do it anymore because I understand it was a waste of energy. I got better things to do. So just lay around and having sex all day. Now, let's not get it twisted. Homie likes some sex, but nobody can keep up. Which ain't nothing wrong with that either. Most women are smarter than me. They was like, I gotta go to work. I can't be sitting around having sex all day. So I figured it out. It took me a while, but I finally figured it out. So now instead of releasing that energy sexually, I just release that energy productly. Create products, service, and information. So every time I pump out a product for service and information, it's like an orgasm. For me. Now for you, I don't know. Because I don't know what you're smoking. I'm smoking the good stuff. Straight from the throne. That's the reason why I must ejaculate onto a product, service, information. That's the reason already this morning, I think I did 6 or 7 TikTok videos. This show going to be on there. As soon as I hang up, I'm going to be back on there. Why? Because I'm having sex. Now, to the average that'll keep it on, remember, the psychology of low libido is the psychology of low performance. You got to have high T. Ladies, you got to have high E. Ladies, you should have a high estrogen level. Men should have a high testosterone level. Now, there's a bunch of TikTok videos floating around. This young cat talking about, how he added girth, we use that word, to his manhood, and how he increased his stamina using, like sea moss and those other stuff I talk about that I used to do. That I don't do none of that stuff anymore. Why? Now it's all mental. So there's different levels to the game. Now you can start off with the, physical level. You can do physical things. Then you can go to the nutritional level. You can do nutritional things. But the goal is to get to the mental level. Well, you do mental things. So you establish what we talked about yesterday, a mental blueprint. How do you do that? Well, number one, forget everything you can't control. Number two, establish an abundance mindset only. You're not allowed after this day. I keep telling you, I don't know if you're listening. Excuse me, which means that you're not hearing. You're not allowed to have a negative thought. Hell, now, when a thought comes in, you think about it, you look at it and say, that's an interesting thought. I'm glad that's not me. And then you throw it away. Remember, you have thoughts. You are not thought. You have thought. You're not thought. You have thought. That means a thought, T-H-O-T-H, the hootie, the green ones, they come in to the brain. They say, hey, we want to say. You examine T-H-O-T-H. You add the U in there. U, T-H-O-U. G, T-H. You, God. When you add U and G into the T-H-O, that's the Egyptian stuff. When you add U as a God into Egyptology, bam, that becomes theology. That theology now controls biology. This stuff is way deeper than we have time to break it down today. I'm just simply saying, if you don't do this, you will never get a Groundhog's Day. What is Groundhog's Day? Groundhog's Day means you lie to yourself that you want Lucifer's left instead of God's best. You didn't know what God's best is, but you remember, we are afraid of the unknown. So I do not want to go to an unknown heaven, my brother. Praise Jesus. I want to stay in a known hell. You don't even know what heaven is like. You've never been there, but you rejected it. Why? You're afraid. We all are. Nothing wrong with it. Just own your dirt. Own it. Now, once you own it, you can transform it. How? Number three. Number three is fear of rejection. Please reject me. Please. When you are rejecting me, you're rejecting yourself. See, I got the keys to the kingdom. It took me 50 years to find them. Do you honestly think I'm just going to get the keys to everybody? Because guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose my keys. I got a $100,000 Corvette. I'm going to give you my keys to my Corvette. Boo, I don't know. Can you drive? And can you drive like me? I don't trust you. So I ain't giving you the keys to my $100,000 Corvette. Thank you. Now you can get in the passenger seat and you can ride. I'll take you around the block. But boo, you ain't driving. I am not putting the keys to my happiness in some other Negro's pocket. I mean, I like you. I think you're the God's gift to the planet. But I ain't putting the keys to my happiness in your pocket. Thank you. So you're going to do what? You're going to say, Doc, I appreciate you, bro, but I think your system is white. My brother prays Jesus. Why? Because you're listening, you're not hearing. How do I know? I know that my system can't be right because it's not a system. What is it? It's a disposition. What is that? That's the vibrational equivalent of God. What is that? You're all knowing. You're all power. You're all present. You're all simple, and you all love. So if you have those 5 frequencies, guess what you got? You got the solution to all 5. So when you woke up this morning, you should have said, I can, I have, and I am. Those are the only statements that comes out of my mouth. I am not allowed to make any other statements when it comes to manifestation. So somebody say, hey, Doc, I was thinking I can. do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I have been given everything I need for life and godliness. I am an individual expression of God and earth. When you see me, you see the Father. Why? Me and the Father are one. Or the mother. Because really we know, okay, that's an expression, but in time, I don't know if you guys ready for that. The female energy is God on the planet. Another study for another time. So, Groundhog's Day is the inability to forget your past from the perspective of all things that you cannot control. So, number one, you got to forget everything that you can't control. Number two, you got to establish an abundant disposition. Number three, you got to fall in love with rejection. Because the more people reject you, that's less people you got to deal with. Number four, you got to have an I can do attitude. What does that mean? You wake up every day and somebody say, I was wondering, man, I was wondering if we could establish a global online business. Yep, I can do that. That should be your only response. I can do that. Now, you're not saying that you are going to do it. What you're saying is you got to listen to the details. Remember, the devil's in there. I'm telling you, I can do it. That don't mean that I am. Assalamu alaikum, salaikum salam. Then last but not least, learn and dominate. So if you don't learn, you don't earn. Most people don't want to learn shit. That's why they can't dominate. That's another subject for another time. So once you understand fear is the result of all those five frequencies. So Groundhog's Day is those five frequencies, or the lack thereof. So that means that you have the three low performance, low libido dispositions. The number one key to guarantee that your noodle will stay limp is fear of failure. Now, you want to go out with Halle Berry, but you don't know if Halle Berry going to kick you to the curb. Why is that? If I went to Hollywood right now and saw Halle Berry would ask her, who is that? So would any other quote unquote female. Why? Am I God's gift to the planet? No. I just have God's identity. Everybody want to talk to a God or a goddess. It's just human nature. So when you go from being human to God status, all humans worship gods. They call them stars in Hollywood. So that's why I don't go to Hollywood. I am Hollywood. Hollywood comes to me. What does that mean? Well, if you go to Hollywood right now and walk down Hollywood Drive or Rodeo, people should, when you walk by, people should kind of, same way what happens to me when I go to Walmart. Or if I go to the gym. Or anywhere I go. Like yesterday, I was out looking at houses. I just walked in, looked around, walked up, the real estate agent followed me outside. Excuse me, sir? He said, did you have any questions? You think I can help you with? You got a card? Well, you gonna? I said, I'm putting in the bid. I just walked out. Why? I don't have no fear of failure. See, let me show y'all understand the game. Fellas, you might want to write this down. If there's any boys that want to be men, you might want to write this down. Now, no disrespect, I was a boy for 50 years, so I understand the game. See, there's a neurobiology behind an alpha male. See, an alpha male got options. People think options means choices. Mm-mm. Options means lack of choice. See, an alpha male, he don't have options. A alpha male is the opposite of all the feminized males on the planet. All feminized males, if the relationship doesn't work, they go to another one. A alpha male doesn't do that. An alpha male knows how to make any relationship work. Now, on paper, if I tell you everybody, there is no way me and my wife should be married. Zero. We're like oil and water. How does it work? There is a chain reaction that takes place in the brain. Look at our water. Now, what does that mean? Everybody has a fear. Now, it is below the threshold of your consciousness that fear prevents you and other people from drawing near. Now, what does that mean? When you walk into a room, people pick up your energy. And when someone picks up your energy, they unknowingly make a choice at that moment. On the lowest level, men, as soon as a woman sees you, she makes an immediate decision about you. Yes, that's an option. No, he ain't on my level. Immediately. Now, the woman is not even conscious of it because it's done on a pheromone level. The pheromone level is just like a dog whistle. You know, when you hear a dog whistle, you can't hear it, but a dog can. Excuse me. So that's number one. Fear of failure is what separates success and non-success. It will separate alpha males from beta males. It is a signal that is sent to the brain, so the brain sends more energy to the muscles or less energy. In a state of fear, the body releases a stress hormone called cortisol, adrenaline, adrenochrome, and all of the other stress hormones. In a state of fear that you are going to experience failure. When you accept failure, what is failure? Failure is giving people enough rope to hang themselves. What does that mean? I have no problem helping people. I have no problem not helping people. I know I have the solution to everybody's problem because everybody that has implemented my system, they don't have problems. Everybody that don't have the ability to implement my system, they still have problems because it's not my system. I just align with God's system. So I can't take credit for it because remember, everything I'm doing is in a cave over in India that was there, been there for many years. It's down in the old mix. It's in every Native American reservation that I've ever researched and went to. They have a medicine wheel. Every culture on the planet, going all the way back to the Vikings, Swedish, Genghis Khan, going all the way back even to the Ijijis over in Africa, they all have the Sonovarat. So I can't say this is my system. I can only thank source code for connecting me with the system. So this is inside of Westworld when they cut the people's scalps and they show it. It's in all of the movies. It was in Doctor Strange when he makes that circle with his hand. That is the Sonar Varat. That is the black hole sun. That, my brothers and sisters, is the life optimization Kirka or circle. That is the only way for you to be successful in life. All I do is share that information with people. Some people can handle it and they're ready for it. Some people cannot. So fear of failure is gone. The moment that you connect with the spiritual realization of your Godhood manifestation, this is called the wheel of time. The only way to activate the mind is for you to possess the wheel of time. So when you possess the wheel of time, bam, you get out of time. You get out of line. That's your portal. So your product is your portal. So when I create products, I'm creating portals. So the Solar Barat means sun wheel. So I'm a sun. So are you. So like it says in Psalms 84:11, God is a sun and a shield. So am I. So are you. The only difference between me and you is, and not you personally again, but people that we all know, those other people, not the people on this call, but other people, because you wouldn't be on this call if you wasn't a black hole sun, because you'd have disconnected already. Because I would have said something that pissed you off, and you have an ego. I don't have one of those. So I can't get pissed off, therefore I can't get pissed on. So I don't have, see, God makes the call. The Bible says that there are many are called, but few are chosen. See, everybody's called, but not everybody can respond. That was actually in the series, The Man Who Fell to Earth. It's on Showtime right now. It's out there. It's a little strange, hard to follow. It's just about a black guy. He's from Earth, and he's here solving quantum physics problems. Everything I talk about is in that series. But the point of how the call is universal, the response is individual. Let me say it again. There is a universal call that requires an individual response. Let me say it again. Fear of failure. Number one. There is a universal call. Everybody, God's on the phone, He's calling. The universe is calling everybody. But only individuals can call. There's a call, there's a response. Music is mathematical. Energy is the currency of the universe. The call is vibrational. The response must be energetic, meaning how you spend your energy is how you spend your currency. The average activion is broke because the way he or she spends, S-P-I-N, the energy, spend. See, when you spend your energy, you go in. S-P means spirit, I-N means eternal. So S-P-I-N. So I spiritually go in. So my inside connections override all outside expressions. So when someone outside of me says something, it's not loud enough to hear or overpower what's inside. So inside, I'm saying I am a God. Outside, somebody saying, nigga, you just a short black man from Texas. What? What'd you say? You just a short black man? What? You just a short black man from what? I can't hear what y'all saying. I'm loving me so loud, I can't hear my haters. Now, I appreciate my haters, but I can't hear y'all. See, summa cum laude, magna cum laude, and cum laude, all of those are terms that mean highest destination. So when you graduate, number 1, number 2, number 3 in your class, you get one of those designations. That is the kola varat. Kola means will. Varat means spokes. You got 12 spokes times 12 spokes. You got 144 spokes. 144 speaks. 144 sayings. 144 seances. 144 science. That establishes, again, what is called negrito, which means blackness or purification of the black hole sun. So in order for you to transmute into the new state or new life or rebirth or personal rejuvenation, you got to activate the black sun. How many black suns out there? How many melanated suns? You know the word black means power of concentration. Come on, preacher. So when they call you a niglet or a negrito, as they say in Spanish today, or they calling you a nigar, N-I-G-E-R, you should be, thank you, because it means king. King of the purification process. You can't get out of groundhog state, buzzing circles, until you get rid of fear of failure, which is what? The fact that there is an ideal, that there is an expectation that you need to meet. Now, let me get this clear. You mean to tell me that there's somebody on this call right now that you fear, which means there are a innate ideal that you're born with. This innate ideal is making a loud sound. And the fear of not connecting with that sound, what does that mean? Falling. Fear is the threat. Fear is a concept of falling. So failure is an ideal. It's a concept. It's a construct, but it's still a con, which means to swindle. Sept, which means perception. It's a swindled perception. Fear is a warning that is produced chemically by the amygdala that sends sensory data that's interpreted. It sends sensory data by the thalamus that's interpreted by the sensory cortex that is stored as memory inside of the hippocampus that sends a signal via the hypothalamus to the adrenal glands, which pumps adrenaline so it can blow out your kidneys and cause high blood pressure and put you in dialysis, make you old before your time, all because you have a fear of falling. Now, some people have dreams. I used to have a lot of dreams where I was falling. Because why? I had anxiety. Why? Because I was trying to live up to a standard outside of me instead of aligning with the standard inside of me. So I am flawed on purpose. Now I am no longer ashamed of my flaws. As a functional illiterate, when I graduated from high school, I could not read or write. Now I've written 30 books. I've read more books than most people can count. So my flaw became my claw. That's what you have one. So you're not supposed to be afraid of it. You're not supposed to hide it. You're supposed to embrace it. And you're supposed to master it. See, failure is an ideal. It is a flawed construct. Get rid of it. There is no such thing. Now, I know you say, Doc, you don't understand, my brother. See, all of your ideals are man-made. So everybody that has a fear of failure, that means that you have a fear of falling short of meeting somebody else's expectations. Failure is an ideal. It's not real. Failure simply means that you have subnormal quality. That simply means you got a faulty identification. So how do you identify yourself? Oh, you don't got your cosmic ID. See, when I realized that I am the guardian of divine excellence, do y'all understand what that means? When I see divine excellence in you, I want to guard you. And you saying, Doc, I don't see what you say. See, my brother? Stop gaslighting me. So I text you and I say, girl, you the baddest thing since sliced bread. Or I say, brother, you an individual expression of God, like you are an alpha male. Well, Doc, my dad used to tell me when I was little, I ain't shit, See, my grandma used to tell me the same thing, and I believed them. I don't know, though. I am the guardian of divine excellency. You cannot be on this call unless you are divinity. I do not attract nothing but gods and goddesses. If you're on this call, your God-given design is to make you shine. So I'm here just to guard that. That's my call. That's my destiny. That is my dear Cornelia. That's why I get up every morning. That's my motivated abilities pattern. That's my payment. You can't pay me with paper. Pay me by allowing me to do my job. I'm here sent by the big G because I'm a guardian. What's your calling? What's your destiny? What's your dear Cornelia? If anybody don't know, you should go to Google after the show. You should type in solar eclipse ID and click on images. Not solar eclipse, but solar eclipse ID or identification. When you type in solar eclipse identification chart or just solar eclipse ID, now it's already in your dear Cornelia report. It's already did the work for you. But for some strange imagination, maybe you ain't got a dear Cornelia report. If you don't, you can email me. The regular $4.99. Anybody that listens to me right now that don't have a dear Cornelia report, you must have it. If you got a child that is over the age of 18, please don't send him out into the world without his God-given protection. That is the number one problem. Every black man I met in prison didn't know shit about his purpose. Well, purpose is not known. Abuse is inevitable. You're going to get abused by Chester the molester. Please, I'm begging you, if you got a son, especially if he's black, and he's 18, he must have the power comes from his position, not his personality. That's why you can shoot a black man in the back. You cannot shoot a man in the back that got purpose. You will never find a man shot in the back by a cop who knows his purpose. The devil can't touch you unless you don't know who you are. Y'all better stop playing. I'm spiritually protected. Can't shit happen to me. Witches been trying to put stuff on me. I told you the lady down there, what's her name? She tried to poison me. I drank the crap. It had no effect on me. I'm still here. Stop playing. This is not a game. If you don't know your purpose, abuse is inevitable. That is the most important thing to prevent failure. A proper self-identification. Because guess what? When you see yourself as God, you think you're going to sell off for Lucifer? Come on, man. He took Jesus up on a high mountain and he said, bow down, I give you all of this. What did he say? Stop playing, man. Get thee behind me, Satan, for it is written. Shall not tempt the Lord thy God. You work for me, bruh. I don't work for you. Go over there and pick up my luggage. That's how you should talk to the devil. Everybody's afraid of him. Why? Because you don't know who you are. Which takes us to number 2. Everybody's afraid of loss. First of all, I'm a manager. I'm a spiritual manager. Y'all remember we went through this with the People Development Center. We went through the 5 frequencies, waves, and vibrations that source code gave you in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. So you are a governor. You are a ruler. You have total control over yourself and every matter else. You don't have control over other people, but you got control over matter. You are a mater or a mother. And you are a manager. Last but not least, you are a leader. Those are the 5 frequency waves and vibrations that you are. You can't go to school and get it. You were born with it. Nowhere it doesn't say owner, because ownership establishes liability. Ownership, when you own something, it is a lie about your ability of something. Because everything is owned by the big G. You just here to manage it. Excuse me, the word Lord means management. It means governor. So, I'm the governor. So are you. So as the governor, I can't lose it because it's not mine. Hello. So you got to get rid of the ideal of loss because nobody can take what's mine. I can't lose it if it's mine. If I lose it, it comes back. Because guess what? The source code gave me and made me the Kyrios. The word Kyrios means Lord. It means overseer. So I'm here to oversee. That's why we call parents. So, ladies, unfortunately, your children are not yours. You just rented them for 18 years to assist them in the direction of where they're supposed to go. So guess what? You're just their manager. You're not their owner. So the loss of self is interesting because the loss of self is created by someone else. Now, when I say loss of self, well, I mean that ego that we talked about earlier. So that's how the devil gets everybody. There's a fear that is triggered that says that I'm going to lose myself. But there is no self. The Bible says I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ. Christ is the messianic office that furnishes the one in that office with the dunamis power to fulfill that office. So guess what? There's no thing as lost. How can you lose something that you never had? Now, a lot of people say that that is what they call verbal judo. Verbal judo is when you just splitting hairs. It's just like when you just, saying a bunch of words, but you're not really saying nothing. So loss means autonomy. Let's be crystal clear on this one. When I say loss, I'm talking about a loss of autonomy. Everybody has a fear of the loss of autonomy, which can be associated with identity. Now, autonomy means mobilization. Let's be clear, crystal. So it means restriction. It means paralyzation. It means envelope. It means overwhelmed. It means entrapped. It means imprisoned. It means smothered. It means controlled by circumstances beyond your control. So as a God, what is beyond your control? Answer, nothing. Now, remember, we are individual expressions of God, but we're limited by our dirt suit, and we're limited by the letters of the name. So when you get outside of your lane, your circle, then you have no limits. Right now, source code put a restriction on you because he don't trust you, or she don't trust you. Why? Well, you got here because you dropped down in frequency, and you said that you want to be. So my frequency means Bethesda. Bethesda is the chief architect. So at some point in my history, I decided I didn't want to be the architect that builds bodies that houses the Shekinah glory of God. That's my original estate. So I dropped down to a 33. So I went from 360 degrees down to 33 degrees. So now I'm stuck in dirt until I go back to 360. Just like you. So the only way to get out is for you to return to your prior existence. So as long as you choose to stay in a body, you got to have a label, because labels are limits. When you name it, you lame it. Some of us got great names, but they're still limits. They're not all-knowing, all-power, all expression, all simple, and all benevolence. So we are limited by we chose to limit, let's put it that way, our expression. So that's what we feel that we're going to lose. Our fake identity, which is, so my name, W-I-L-L-I-E, which was really Edmund, which was changed to William, which was changed to Willie, and I almost changed to Wilbert because my father's name, that's what his real name was. So my father, I guess, wanted a junior. And my mother was like, hell no, come to the story. That's why my name was changed 3 times. So remember, when you change the person's name, you change the person's destiny. So that creates some of the cognitive confusion in my brain. That's why when ladies get married, like my daughter got married, she was grinding and shouting and everything was good. She got married, she changed her last name, and zoom, she changed it to a whole other person. Like, Sade, what the hell's wrong with you? Now you all emotional, you all over place before. Then I'm like, oh snap, I did her numbers. I'm like, oh shit, man. She went from no master numbers to 3. So when you got a bunch of master numbers, you come out as mentally retarded because you're learning 3 languages at the same time. Everybody should remember that. So if you got 1 master number, it's going to take you longer to master that because you got more to express. If you got 2 master numbers, it's going to take you even double as long as anybody else who don't have a master number. So massive number of people with massive numbers, they always got some type of a mental illness. Because remember, spiritual power is cloaked as mental illness on this dimension. So the more mental illness you got, the more spiritual powers you got. Don't tell them what I told you. So everybody has a fear of being what? Entrapped. Ladies, you get married, what happens? Loss of autonomy. You are afraid to get into a relationship. You're afraid to get a job. You're afraid to join a life management system. You are afraid. Why are we afraid? Well, Doc, I do not want to be overwhelmed. People see like, damn, hold up. How many books you got in your life management system? 50. Now, I've written 300 books. I just put 50 of them in it. Now, I should say I've published. I got like 1,000 books in my garage in Houston, in my storage shed in Houston. I got another, I don't know, 600 books that are in different stages of development in my garage downstairs. I got another 200 books in different stages of development on my desk right now. I've just published. Now, a lot of them are audio books that I'm waiting to convert. So what's the point? What's the point, Doc? I am not immobilized because I keep my energy. I don't cast my pearls among swine. Thank you. So a lot of people have a fear of being immobilized, a fear of being paralyzed, a fear of being restricted. But that fear is from yourself. You are immobilizing yourself. How? You are an irresponsible creator. Not you personally, but people who know. So the people outside of this call, they're paralyzed, they're restricted, they are overwhelmed, they are entrapped, they are in prison, they feel smothered because HPA. Hypothalamus, pituitary gland, adrenal glands are activated. Anytime an event happens that is beyond your control and you are helpless to respond, click. Adrenochrome is released. Reptiles feed off of that energy. Let me say this again. Demons follow people who release the smell. They can smell that shit miles away. This is why I don't do this. You attract demons. So that dude you just met, that guy you just met, he's attracted to you because your pheromones is releasing death. You smell like death. Demons like death. They follow death. That's why they follow you around. So if you're in Groundhog's Day, everybody that you meet is dead. That's what Jesus said, let the dead bury, hang out with the dead. So yeah, go on to the club, bro. Do you. As long as you're in Groundhog's Day, you will always attract death. Because you are on the frequency of death. So no demon or devil can get on my level. That's why I don't run into them. I'm on the 10th floor in the penthouse. You down in the basement, in the garage, parking cars. I'm up there sitting around, got my feet up, sipping the pina coladas freaking at the pool. They got security up there, bro. You can't just walk up there. Excuse me, let me see your ID. Oh, so you don't know your cosmic ID, so you can't get into the cosmic realm. So sorry. Security, escort this fool off the planet. So the reason why most people are saying Groundhog's Day, they are afraid because there's a sense of falling, because they fail. Number two, there is a sense because you are overwhelmed. And you said, Doc, that's a lot of information, brother. I feel overwhelmed. I know. Because you're listening, you're not hearing. Like I feel in prison, brother. I feel smothered. I feel like, shit, man. I'm like, things that are outside of my control. I'm helpless. My brother, I don't have a problem-solving process in place. So when bad shit has happened, I feel overwhelmed. I was like, oh, my back is up against the wall. I'm stressed. Oh, yeah, bruh. Been there, done that. I got 2 T-shirts. That's the reason I teach it. So, fear of loss is not loss. It's a loss of autonomy. That's what the fear of loss is. Even fear of failure is not fear of failure. What is the cause of failure? Fear of failure is fear of having to face uncertainty, not fear of the unknown. So failure is always masked because you don't have a step-by-step plan. See, I have a step-by-step plan for wealth, problems, health, problems, relationship, problems, wisdom, problems. I have a system in place for any quote-unquote problem because problems are opportunities in disguise. A loss, fear of loss is a fear of loss of autonomy. It's not loss of self. It's the being overwhelmed because you don't have a step-by-step process to solve problems. Last but not least, that keeps us operating and vibrating in low key or low E. We have low libido. Low libido is the result of unknown. We call it chaos. Fear of chaos. So fear of chaos is the fear of the unknown. Ooh, come on, preacher. So in psychology, there is this frequency, wave of vibration of the unfamily. Ooh, preacher, you preaching now. So I come along and I ain't family. You don't like me. Why? I ain't familiar. Everybody else come along, they're sociopaths and they're psychopaths. You used to dealing with them. You got a whole family. Like my family, your family's like me. Well, let me rephrase that. Like I was. I was a sociopath and I was a psychopath because I didn't have my life back. Now, unfortunately, little Johnny, he's running around in your house right now. That's what most kids are so bad. The first thing I did with my kids was I did their reports and I just gave them that chart. As soon as I met my now wife, first thing I did was her numbers. Second thing I did was her children's numbers. So I knew how to parent them. So I've never spanked or disciplined my bonus kids. Because when I met my wife, her parenting style was different from mine. So the kids were already, like when we met, there was 5, I think it was 4 and 3 or 5 and 4. Remember, by the time a child is 8, their reticular activation system is sealed. They're no longer absorbing, now they are responding. So you can't get nothing in. You can talk all day, doesn't mean jack speak. You're wasting your breath. So when you see a child that is the age of 8 or older, now you cannot instruct, you can model behavior. So the best way to get children like now, my kids do everything, my bonus kids, they do everything I do. It's almost as if they're my biological kids because they watch me and they watch their daddy and then they watch all the aunts and uncles and everybody else in the family. And they always come back and say, Mr. Will, we noticed that you do this. We was wondering why you do that. They want to learn because they want to win. Children are not stupid. This is why I love children. Everywhere I go, I've never had a child not come up to me and hug me. It's kind of like pets, like animals. Animals can tell, plants too. They can tell low libido. They can tell low T. They can pick up the frequency. Children and plants are the same. Now, you got the same ability, but as we get old, we get it programmed out of us. So the last frequency that keeps you, stuck in a fake identity. Because all of this is a problem because it's fake. Do you know that fear of the unknown is fear of change? It is the inability to be comfortable with things that are unpredictable and things that you have little information about because I'm not family. So fear of the unknown is the lack of familiar. Now, familiar means familiar spirit. It is a demon of depression. It's a demon. In every family has that demon. Unfortunately, we embrace that demon and we let him in because it's like, oh, that's Uncle Bobby. Uncle Bobby then fondled every little niece he got. Even when he hugs them, he grabs their chest or he grabs their little butt. And Uncle Johnny is sitting over at the dinner table looking at your little 6-year-old, 7-year-old, 8-year-old daughter, niece or nephew, and he over there, his manhood hard as a brick. And you over there doing like my sisters, when I told them, don't go spend the night with our favorite cousins. And they always would invite us over there. But I knew their daddy. So I was the only one in the family. And I remember I had already been molested by then, and I was being molested every night. So I knew that Uncle Bobby was a molester. Because guess what? He had that same disposition as a family member that was molesting me. So my sisters went over there, and they came back the next day crying. They never talked about it. They never told nobody. But even at the age of 6, 7, 8, however old I was at that time, I knew what had happened to him. All I did was I told him, I told y'all don't go over there. Yeah, but he's so nice, and he always gives us money. He buys us stuff, and he has to sit in our lap. He would always have a girl sitting in his lap. He was the nicest uncle. Everybody loved him. He was a freaking deacon in the church. The whole church loved him. Everybody loved him. All the time, that little fool, was fondling everybody. Oh, Uncle Bobby was cool, Uncle Bobby. He was smooth with it. It is this fear because we do not have the ability to predict and control. Now, when you was a little girl, you couldn't. But guess what, ladies? You grown now. If Trump walks up to you, like you said in the thing, yeah, I just walk up to him and grab him in the crotch. Obviously, he didn't go to the hood. You go to the hood, I don't care who you are, you walk up to a woman and grab her in the crotch, you don't get punched in the mouth. At least all the ladies that I know from the hood. Men too. So that stuff would not work. I don't care if you Donald Trump or not. So it works when you're a little kid, but guess what, ladies? You ain't no little kid no more. So guess what? Now you have control over your own life. In other words, nobody can come and take your cookie. Legally. So now you have more predictability. You can predict an outcome, and you can make a decision. So ladies, more so than men, but men too, you can predict and make decisions. So now, ladies, you can predict who you're going to give your cookie to. And guess what, ladies? You can control. You can make a decision. No cookie for you, bruh. And I don't care what he or she does, they don't get the cookie. Right, ladies? I mean, I don't know what, that's how we do it where we from down here in Texas. Even women got guns down here in Texas. I don't know what they do where y'all from. So you're going to try to take the cookie if you want to, you're probably going to get shot, bruh. So there's no need to have a fear of the unknown. Now, are there things outside of your control? Absolutely. So what do we do about that, Doc? What do we do about that, brother? What do we do about that? Praise Jesus. Stuff that happens we can't control. Do you remember what we said at the beginning of the show? Forget everything you can't control. So why? It's a waste of energy. The number one reason, as God is my witness, source code, testimony of your people, so that they can hear and stop listening. The number one problem on this planet, bar all problems, we talked about a lot of stuff. We went through a lot of stuff. You don't have to remember none of that. It's great if you do. You ain't got to remember none of that. Find your voice. People will find you. If you find your voice, be you, be authentic, be real, stop being fake, stop being phony, you're not fooling nobody. I mean, you're not be fooling those other people out there, but you're not fooling nobody on this call. When you find your voice, people will find you. Because everybody that's on my frequency, they can hear my voice. The Bible says, my sheep, what do? They hear my voice. What do if they hear his voice? I remember, I talked for an hour and a half. You got to remember none of that shit. That was just all introductions. This is the meat of the message. I always say the meat for the last. So that way everybody that ain't supposed to be here, they already hung up. First of all, the Bible compares us to sheep. Sheep is the dumbest animal on the planet. A sheep will watch. This is true. You can Google it. Research it. Watch nature flicks. A pack of wolves would come in. They would kill one sheep. That's enough for the whole wolf pack. But the other sheep, they don't run. They just stand there. So the wolves look at each other and they'll be like, damn. They're not scattering. So they kill another one. When they start eating that one, it's like, none of the sheep will run. They say if one sheep runs off the cliff, all the other sheep follow and run off the cliff too. Like sheep, is sheep and sheep, is how you say it plural? I think sheep is plural. No, study for another time. So the Bible compares us to sheep. That is not a benevolent comparison. Can we walk around, yeah, I'm going sheep. Not me, bruh. I don't want to be grouped into that low vibrational category. So John 10:26. John 10:26 says, but because you are not my sheep, you refuse to believe. Damn! Come on, preach. Now I could preach on that verse for at least 30 days. I could do a 30-day series on John 10:26. Because you are not my sheep, you refuse to believe. So, as I said before, people can't hear me because they can't see me. If you can't see me, you can't hear me. See, I can see you. But because I see you, in other words, I don't see Sister Sister Diane Coleman, the way Sister Diane Coleman sees her. So when I see Sister Diane Coleman, not her physical image, because I've never seen a picture of Sister Diane. That doesn't mean anything. Like a recent picture. I think I saw a picture when you was in high school, right, Sister Diane? So, Sister Diane has an energy that I can pick up. Sister Diane lives in California. I'm in Texas. Yet, I can pick up Sister Diane's energy. Now, Sister Diane is flawed on purpose, for purpose. Sister Diane has a big problem. Remember the must formula. So Sister Diane has a massive problem that requires unique solution. So thankfully, God equipped Sister Diane to solve her own problem. What is Sister Diane's problem? Well, Sister Diane has a soul. And her soul is her whole. What does that mean? Well, Sister Diane, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you slice it, is born in the month of Augustus. That's not a real month. So Augustus Caesar and Julius Caesar hijacked the wheel of time. Now, I should not tell you this because this is secret society shit that they don't teach it in evidence about this. What you're about to hear, you've never heard before. I'm only sharing it with you because it's at the end of the show and most of the people that's not supposed to be here are gone already. So you hear that means you're supposed to hear it. Julius Caesar and Augustus Caesar added themselves or injected themselves into and created the Grigori, or anybody might watch Prometheus. Prometheus was those big, what we call white alkebulons. They were denatured, manufactured, if you will use that term, alkebulons. They were dumbed down alkebulons. Let me put it that way. And as a original alkebulon, Sister Diane picks up their pain. She can pick up the frequency of the lack of gain. What does that mean in English? Well, that means Sister Diane is a solar or a sonar healer. Now, most don't know that dolphins work on sonar. And for the alkebulons that don't know too much about sonar systems, it's like sonic systems. So when you look at how a sonar scan or sonar works, it is the ability to detect objects underwater. Meaning, it's the ability to detect sound that pulses underwater. Since we're all water, Sister Diane is built by God to pick up the frequency, waves, and vibrations that are unconscious, because underwater means under consciousness. So she has a technique that uses sound to propagate or to navigate. So you can tell Sister Diane anything, but Sister Diane has a system in place or a technique or what we call a gift. That gift gives her the technique to pick up or communicate with things under the surface of the water. So you blowing smoke up here, but Sister Diane can pick up the smoke. But Sister Diane got to pick up the smoke that's underneath her own self before she can pick up the smoke that's underneath everyone else. So my job is to get Sister Diane to elevate. Remember, you guys stop falling in love. That's a trick. Start elevating in love. Most people, they meet somebody, especially men. Men, we date down. Women date up. Ooh-wee. Some of you bright bulbs out there should write that shit down. Men, we like to date down. Why? Control. Women like to date up. Why? Security. Now, nobody cares why that happens. The most important aspect of that is that it does. So your job, men or man, is to be aware and make sure that you connect with someone who can elevate you instead of someone who can tolerate you. Damn, I'm preaching now. I know, hey, I mean, I like it. But I'm telling you the truth, not King James Version. See, men, let's go back to what Yahushua said. Most people make the mistake. I mean, I did it, you did it, your mom and dad, everybody make the same mistake because we all went to Ebenezer Baptist and we've learned to settle for less instead of elevating for God's best. Now, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. But after today, okay, now remember, I ain't trying to break up no happy homes. All I'm simply saying is this. When you choose to elevate to align your mind with your design, woo, your sister may start doing to you what my sister's doing to me. Like, boy, who you think she is? What you think? What are you talking about? Why you get this new age shit from? You better get your ass back in church. We're praying for you. We got the prayer clause going around. We don't want you to go to hell. You wasn't raised like that. Your mama didn't teach you that. What are you reading? You don't need nothing but the Bible. Just Jesus Christ and Him crucified. Assalamu alaikum, or it's just the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, Negro, you sound like a parrot. You got a brain. No, sir. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. That's the average that keep it on. Cannot think for him or herself. They sheep. Now, when you become unsheeped, you're no longer part of the sheepfold. Now you go to a new level where there is no devil, which is John 10:27. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them. They follow me. I give them eternal life, and they will never perish. No one can snatch them out of my hand. Now, I'm not a biblical scholar, even though I am, but I'm a retired biblical scholar. As a retired biblical scholar, I know that the dominant culture just puts the things in the book that they want to keep you a slave. So you got to kind of read through, pick out the meat, throw away the bone. Isaiah 66:22. Those are double numbers are always master numbers. Another study for the top. Isaiah, that's cold. Break that down later too. Isaiah 66:22. For just as the new heavens and the new earth, which I will make, will endure before me, declares the Lord, so your descendants and your name will endure. Now, the reason that I'm mentioning that verse and the previous verses that I read is to assist you with understanding you, which means people, everybody on this call, you have a voice inside of you that you listen to, or you should listen to. That allows you to know your higher self, or you, and for you to follow your higher self, or you. That will give you internal life, or eternal life. Notice Jesus always talks about life. Not knowledge, not money, cars, house, life. Jesus couldn't give me enough life and life more abundant. So I got the life management system. So the most important thing that everybody on this call should be talking about is the life management, the life management system. That's the only thing I do. I changed the name, but it's still the same. Life management system. It's still life. Why? You can't perish with that. And no one can snatch you out of the big G's hand, which is your hand. That just simply means no one can get you off your game. That's why if you don't have a voice, I can't find you. So when I see somebody that don't know themselves, that means you don't got a voice. That means that you're wandering around in the spiritual realm lost. If you die without finding your voice, you wander around in the spiritual realm as what we call an apparition or a ghost. Because verse 29 says, my Father has given them to me is greater than all. Let me say it again. John 10:29, very important. My Father, the big G, who has given them to me is greater than all. Let me say it again. Jesus said, all who came before me are thieves and robbers. So that's why God has not given me a spirit of fear. He gave me a spirit of love, power, and a sound mind. And He gave it to you. So now I'm giving it to I'm telling you, what am I telling you? I'm telling you that you are an individual expression of God on earth. So the Father gave you to you. He's greater than all of the other gods. So no other God can snatch you out from the Father's hand. Then the Father means the patar. The word patar means generator. So when you generate your own energy, nobody can take your energy because you are generating it from where? Yourself, and that's unlimited. So my Father has given them to me is greater than all. No one can snatch them out of my hand. I and the Father are one. Let me say that again. For all of you high vibration like Cubanons out there, Jesus Christ and God is outside of you. You see, when you've seen me, you've seen the Father. I am the generator. I am the operator, and I am the director. That's why I have high libido. Again, that's a physical term, which means in English, high estrogen and high testosterone, which means high spiritual IQ, which means high spiritual attributes and characteristic identification, which means what? I am a 336, I am a 123, I am a 123, I am a 549. What does that mean in English? Those are 12 attributes. They got 12 attributes. So I am part of the 144,000. So are you. I am the 144,000. The 144,000 is not people. The 144,000 is attributes. It's characteristics inside of every people. So everybody's part of the 144,000. Because 144,000 is 144,000 nerves inside of the body that we call nodes. These are part of the lymph nodes, which is part of the lymphatic system. When you activate the body, you activate the God design so that way you're guaranteed to shine and you are able to return back to your prior existence instead of being one of the fallen ones. You get out of the order of the Nephilim. And now you become a part of the order of the melanated Chi Z Det. You're part of the lineage and the order of Melchizedek. That's what Yahushua said in Hebrews chapter, I think it's not 11. I think it's chapter 8, 10, somewhere now. That's what that scripture means. So my brothers and my sisters, in conclusion, today's a great day. Why? Because John 10:30 says that you and the Father are one. Just like back then, Jesus said, or the verse says, and the next verse says, at this, the Jews picked up stones to stone him. If you walk around and you say, I and the Father are one, that what you're saying is, remember I said I'm the vibration equivalent of the Father. So when I leave and I go, people see me as the Father because everything is vibration. So I'm not the vibration of myself. I'm cloaked with the vibration of God or source. Therefore, whatever source vibration can do, I can do. So that's why I can make the statement, I can do all things through source, Christ, my office, my purpose, my destiny, my diakonia, my mission. That is why I'm saying if you are a black man especially, or a black woman, any woman, because everybody got different shades of that word, because black is the absence of all color, and black is the inclusion of all color. Ooh, you don't want to put that down. You might want to go check out my website, Wake Up Black America. So there's no such thing as race. We all fight each other. Now that's too deep for most folk to understand. Let me back up a little bit. When you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Me and the Father are one. You should ask yourself, Doc, what does that mean? Because if you say that, what's happened in verse 31 is going to happen to you. You will go to TikTok, you will post something, and guess what's going to happen? You're going to get a thing and say, oh, this is violating our universal standards. They will delete 10 years worth of your content off YouTube like they did me. Your ass is going to be in Facebook jail every week. As soon as you get out, you go right back in. Your account's going to get hacked. Your family members ain't going to invite you over for dinner. Your family members will drive into your city, be at a house down the street, and they won't tell you they're there. Oh, you won't be getting no Christmas presents. Nobody's inviting you over for Easter, bruh. Your birthday, you might get a call. Hell, you might not even get a call from your own children. You're going to be a leper. Eagles fly alone. Pigeons fly in flocks. If you make the decision to implement the information that I've shared with you today and stop operating in fear, doubt, and unbelief, and you don't give a beat about failure, that means you are certain. When you wake up, I can make it happen. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I have been given everything that I need for life and godliness, so thank you very much. I'm good. And when you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Me and the Father are one. I am an individual expression of the big G on earth. When you make those three things, fear of failure, gone. Fear of loss, gone. Fear of the unknown, gone. Those three things create instability. If you are mentally, financially, spiritually, relationshiply unstable, you got one or all three of those fears. That prohibits you from finding your voice. And the tone in your voice determines the speed of your choice. The only reason you have difficulty man feast. The only reason you're a man and you ain't enjoying your feast is because you got one or all of those frequencies, waves, and vibrations. My brothers and my sisters, this your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Team 33. I'm at the top grinding and shining. You can see you guys later on tonight. I love you. There ain't shit that you can do about it. Holla at the boy.
Every day been the same, I'm going insane. I got been knocked down my whole life, but I got a feeling these things, I'm like the train. They realize now, they realize this real life now, now everybody's for the big time, I don't know what y'all talking about, I ain't giving up, yin yang is the same, we go coming out of there, all the opposites work together just to bring them out of there, it's how we want the people, we can hear ourselves out, I'm trying to tell you, this ain't nothing, you should worry about, if you're so negative with nothing, you should worry about, I take a stand at it when you let your courage out, I take a stand at it when you let your courage out, let's try to feel it, we ain't even gotta curse it hard, like getting digits, he ain't even have to flirt it hard, I got these dividends, that dividends can't buy it all, I got these dividends, that dividends can't buy it all, I'm about to shift it, ain't no planet, ain't no night hard, ain't all my frenemies and enemies, I'm fighting hard, I got every day been the same.